we're going to bring you Amanuels live right now and have a bit more, we're going to understand more about who he is as an individual, and then we'll come back and talk a bit more about the interview and the experiences we had together. Mr. Amanuels, welcome to the program.
Thanks for having me, Kizito. I'm so humbled to be back and be in conversation with you.
I want to start from the marine biologist background. Honestly, like, tell us more about that. How do you go from that experience to being in the community as a leader within the Canadian society?
Thanks again, Kizito. It's a common question that I often asked and continue to be asked over the years. In my young adult life, I spent a lot of years in different seas and oceans, starting from the Red Sea, where I was based in southern Red Sea in Massawa, but also had the opportunity, to work in different places like off the Indian Ocean and Mauritius and the Persian Gulf. I had the opportunity to do some field work and get trained in the Tyrrhenian Sea, in the Gulf of Genoa. These are seas of Italy. But also some of my graduate studies took me to do some work also up north in the north part on the Western Atlantic side, if you want, on the west of France, near Calais and so on. I think, I always say that human ecosystems and marine ecosystems, my specialization was in marine ecology with a particular focus on coral reefs, or forest ecosystems or any natural ecosystems. They are governed by a certain set of principles, yeah? There is no one player, there are a number of players in the picture, yeah? An ecosystem. That's why when I was talking to you last time, I was talking about the black ecosystem approach. Yeah? And then the black ecosystem approach, the interrelationship among the members of this ecosystem, the various stakeholders. In this case, we're talking about black organizations, black leaders, foundations, governments, and so on. The way that they relate the flow of energy, the flow of knowledge and understanding is similar to marine ecosystems or other types of natural ecosystems, where there are patterns that actually govern the behavior. There are certain ways that people and ecosystems guide the actions and behaviors of its elements. And when we have some imbalance in the ecosystem, for example, you hear a lot with climate crisis, how coral reefs are bleaching and how the marine environment has been impacted, or the wildfires in California and Washington and so on. When there is imbalance in the ecosystem, all the members of the ecosystem are impacted. When you talk about gun violence or housing problems or poverty in our black communities, there is imbalance, there is problems, yeah. And that's why you need to know the scope of your problem and the scale of the challenge to be able to really come up with a solution. No individual member of a coral reef ecosystem, whether it's a group of fishes or corals or algae, whatever, on themselves actually can heal or grow the coral reef ecosystem. The same with human ecosystems, no single leader, no single organization, no single government, no single corporate leader can resolve our complex challenges, So at the end of the day, there's a lot of similarities. So for me, it was so easy to actually transfer from a field of marine science to a field of human systems. For many years, I remember at Concordia University, I used to go there summer at Summer Institute, at the Institute of Management and Community Development, where I was teaching workshops. And I remember one particular summer where myself and a friend of mine from BC, we did a session that was week-long that actually uses coral reef ecosystems as metaphors to talk about organizational health, vibrancy, and so on. So they are very much related, Kizito, yeah.
At what point did you say, I'm going to move from this profession to doing community work? What got you to change your career course to the point where you're like, you know what, I'm going to do this full time as a community servant?
Yeah, it's a good question, but here's what I would say. Once a marine ecologist, you're always a marine ecologist. Your mind is wired in that way, yeah. So when I move into any space, when I move into a room, before I see the elements in the room, the chair, the table, whatever, I see the whole together because I've been trained as a marine ecologist for many years. I started my marine science career very early. I was, I think, 21 years when I started teaching and doing research. And so for many years, I traveled in many tropical waters and oceans. And frankly speaking, by the time I was 29, 28, 30, I was getting tired of it, you know, like especially when I came to Canada here 25, 27 years, when I see a lot of people going to the Caribbean for vacation and do snorkeling and swimming or even diving, for me it's just like, because this was my work, I would wake up early in the morning, especially in the southern Red Sea where it's hot, humid. By 4:35 a.m. I'm already in the sea because it's so hot and humid, yeah. So after doing it for many years, it no longer becomes fun, yeah. and I think I always believed that life is too short, that we need to, and time is the most important commodity, and I think we need to make the most out of it. So I've always tried to, actually, even in Canada in 25, 27 years, I've intentionally quit my job and move it to the next one in order to be exposed to different experiences. So I think at some stage I literally decided that I needed to shift gears. But I think you can also come full circle. About, you know, many years ago now, I don't know, 8 or so years ago, I quit my job in the senior team at United Way. One of the reasons that I want to go back and resume diving, obviously I'm not going back full time to do marine science, marine ecology, but one of my dreams is to go back and resume diving, and I think there's a way that I can actually link the work that I have been doing. So I'm still interested, you know my interest and passion for Africa. So one of the things I hope I could do is inspire and mentor and support a lot of young African scientists, especially in the Mediterranean, in the Western Indian Ocean, from Tanzania, Kenya, Somalia, Djibouti, all the way to the Red Sea. There's a huge opportunity to create collaboration of young marine science. So those are some of the things that at some stage I want to go back and support. But I think it's a realization that life is too short, and I think there are some dreams that we chase, and that's why I shifted gears.
Incredible. I say, when you do decide to go back into your original field, do let me know. I have no experience, but I would love to experience those views. I mean, I think, I don't know how you get tired of living that kind of life, but hey, it's possible if you are able to get tired of living such a beautiful life.
I hope you will be able to join me in when I go back to the sea. It's an amazing place, you know, like what many of us see from distance is this blue expanse of water, but once you get in and you dive, especially in tropical marine waters, it's an amazing different world, yeah. And I think also many years of doing that type of work, Kizito, also gave me a sense of humility, because once you dive, you're a guest, you're a visitor in that environment, you're an alien. So you are so minuscule and small and vulnerable that obviously you need to be trained well to know your craft, so to speak. But you have a relative appreciation of vulnerability, because when you dive, there is you are in a totally different environment, and it's a beautiful environment, but but also imbibes you with a sense of humility. Yeah.
My next question is more on what can you say to the community right now during COVID, especially here in Toronto, here in Ontario? What should continental Afro-Canadian communities know that can help them over the course as we go through this pandemic?
That's a great question. So first of all, and there's no day that passes. I was just on the call with a member of the community. There's no day that I don't remind people that this is serious. That lives are being lost, people are being infected. There are all sorts of impacts of this COVID that are serious. So reminding our people to take this seriously and take the precautions following the public health guidelines is critically important. For example, Black community organizations and leaders that are out there, they need to really pace themselves in terms of how to move by following public health guidelines. The other thing I would say is that this is an adversity that should not put to waste. I think we should find a way to turn the adversity into an opportunity for meaningful change. I was in a series of conversations today with folks in government and others, and I keep saying this, as I have said in my interview, we cannot afford to tinker at the edges. Our problems have been amplified by the pandemic, so it's an opportunity for us to, as Black community leaders, as African community leaders, to really be bold. Be bold to say what must change now that we have experienced this pandemic. My sense is that we're entering a recovery phase, in terms of our thinking and planning despite the second wave. My thinking is that the impacts of COVID will be lingering for some time into the coming year or even beyond. And I think we have an opportunity among ourselves to really not be thinking about going back to pre-pandemic time. By that I mean there's an opportunity to move to new models of doing business, looking at relationship between private sector and community sector. There are many things that we can do differently than what we have been doing in the past.
Thank you so much, Mr. Amanuels. As you noticed, I don't know if you've noticed, maybe when you get back and you can watch the program, we've created a comic that is going to be a series that's going to be passing on our platform every week. And we've made you one of our heroes, and soon we're going to create a character in your name. So hopefully you get to appreciate that.
I've seen something like that, but here's what I say to you. Do not put me at the front. You always know from me that I'm quite comfortable at the back, invisible, so don't put me too much at the front.
No worries. Just whatever you're comfortable with, we just want to make sure that we let the world know and let you know that we appreciate the work you've done and you continue to do in the community.
Thanks, Zito, and I have a lot of hope for young people and what's ahead of us, and thank you for the opportunity to be able to talk to you and young people out in the community.
Absolutely. We'll let everybody know Mr. Amanuels is available. If you need to reach him, you can reach out to us. We can connect you to him. But in the meantime, thank you so much.